So to be successful with additive manufacturing, when you start out thinking about additive manufacturing, yes, you have a lot of design flexibility, but you also then need to start thinking about things like if I'm, say, for example, if I'm printing this on an FFF printer, the parts that come off of an FFF printer are not isotropic, which means they don't have the same physical characteristics in all three axes. So you have to take that into consideration if you're using FFF and think about what's called the strong direction. So typically FFF is printing in layers, and if the force of your whatever you're building, if the forces are normal to those layers, that's the strong direction. So you have to kind of take that into account when you're designing your part. You don't want to have any thin vertical walls because those layers are weakest in that direction. So you want to be careful when you're doing that. Now, if you're printing with SLA, for example, SLA is isotropic, so it has the same physical characteristics in all axes. But some of the artifacts for SLA are things like support artifacts. So in SLA, there is a support structure that gets printed with parts that have overhangs. And those little touch points, they're called, on the part will leave an artifact. So you need to be ready to deal with that. You can orient the part certain ways when you print to mitigate that. You can also design features into the part that can also mitigate that. Now that said, the newer equipment, especially the like this machine behind me here, the Formlabs Form 4, they've gotten so good that you can get by with less support, and so those artifacts are less of an issue. If you're designing for SLS, you've got a lot of flexibility there because SLS is self-supporting. So the powder in the printer actually supports the part. So you don't have to worry too much about orientation. SLS parts are mostly isotropic as well. The only issue there with SLS parts is they tend to have a very grainy surface. Now there's ways to deal with that with post-processing. You can do a vapor smoothing. You can on Formlabs there's the Form Blast, which has a polishing capability in the part. The parts come out really nice. But those are the things to consider when you're just starting out with additive.